Welcome to the Atomic Impact Podcast. I am your host, Jason Osborn. And on this podcast, we interview successful business owners for them to share atomic, impactful lessons that they've learned throughout their business career and share them with us as well. And as always, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everybody hates. We use this method to book 26 qualified leads and sales calls in 10 days without any ad spend, outreach, or endless social media posting. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborn, and that will be in the show notes below. For today, our special guest is Elizabeth Blake Thomas, the owner of Medicine with Words, where she provides creativity coaching. So it's great to have you on the show, Elizabeth. And I want to start off, as I always do, with my question, which is, if you were able to go back in time and you started your very first business, what's the number one piece of advice that you'd give yourself?
I love that question because actually my advice now would be, yes, you got it right. You did it. You knew what you were doing. So I always see myself as I'm 10 years ahead of society, of other people. I came up with Etsy 10 years before they did. I came up with the creativity coaching, networking coaching, speech writing coaching 10 years before anybody else did. I recognized the need for young people, young as much as 5, 6, 7, the younger generation, what they needed educationally wise 10 years before everybody else did. And in fact, if I could tell myself something, it would be keep going with what you truly believe in, because you are right. Your gut is telling you, and you are right.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Is there any particular um, time that you started recognizing that, where you started to learn more how to trust your gut around this? Because I think it's something that people in general battle with, but particularly business owners, because there's so many different choices to make. And what do we do this? And okay, we're trying to grow that and following our gut. Is there any particular maybe story or situation where you started to learn how to just follow your gut more, and any practical tips to help people that might be in that same learning experience?
Yeah, I definitely felt, without realizing it, for my teens, I felt like I was doing the right thing, but there was a lot of pressure against me all the time to go, well, you're too young to do that. You're too young. And when I
Mm.
hit 19, I was running a drama class for some young kids. And that's when I came up with one of my first children's books. And the reaction from the children was amazing. And unfortunately, it was just before I started to write it, and it was just before the iPad world hit, kind of 10 years later, that I brought it out. And I was literally about to reveal this. And one of my best friends is, he's the gadget show guy in England called Jason Bradbury. And he taught me, he's like, no, 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 we're not going with books. We're going to go with the internet. This is the way it is. Look at these iPad things, and look at this is what the kids are going to be doing. And I listened to him, and I could see that he was right. But what I did was I never let that concept go, because I knew we're going to come back to this. We're going to come back to human interaction. We're going to come back to kids being told, get off technology. I knew this ahead of time. So even though I had somebody from the gadget show telling me, and he was right, technology took off. And it's been about a 20-year window now where that is the priority for all these parents, adults. It was technology, technology. And now they've gone, hold on, our kids are on it too much. We need to stop this. And everybody's gone back to that human kind of aspect, that human connection now. And so by keeping it and working on it and making sure it still stays there. So yes, I was told I'm too early with that, or I'm too late for it. In my heart, I still knew it was going to be necessary. And we've just had these articles that come out now saying, okay, it's great to have technology, but the companies and businesses that are going to last are the human interaction ones, where you're getting that contact. So I think I just experienced a cycle. So even if you might think something's not right now, it's going to be, and it's going to come back. So I would just always write things down, take notes, know what's in your heart. Don't let ideas go. They'll grow and they'll change, and that's okay.
I love that. I love that. So one of the other questions that I'd like to ask, and it's kind of in the similar nature around what you're saying around trusting your gut, is we all go through big, massive challenges in our business. I'd love to hear one of the big challenges that you've gone through, and what's one of the biggest lessons that you learned from that?
It's a really great question. So I'm constantly learning all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think that will ever stop. And actually, the biggest thing that's happened in the last 3 months is a personal challenge, not a business challenge. Because, so I'm going to answer the question in two ways. From a business perspective, um, I don't think it's been obvious other than societal changes, as I said, like maybe technology or maybe the pressures financially that people come up with. You know, that they're experiencing their own financial situations, and obviously that has a knock-on effect. You know, when I work in the film and TV industry, the minute, let's say recently there was a big TV show that got cancelled over here, so people lose their jobs. Once you've lost their jobs, those people don't need you for coaching anymore. So there's a knock-on effect like that. But from a personal learning time, I've, in the last 3 months, I actually lost someone very, very close to me, and it's changed a perspective in my life. And what that's done though is actually, because it's changed my perspective, I've changed where I'm coming from in a way that I think enhances my work for everybody else. So
Mm,
there are no mistakes, there are no negative things that happen. You learn from them. You have to take in, what does that mean for me? And the biggest thing that I learned was we're all coming from a different foundation. And I hadn't processed that, because I like to think of my foundation as, oh, I'm understanding. I recognize where people are coming from. I have the empathy. I've been in a situation where I've had money, I've had no money. I've lived in a big house. I've lived on a boat. You know, I felt I'd had it, but this actually altered my perspective within something I've never experienced. So a foundational level is now what I use to ask people before I even begin any work with people is, what foundation are you coming from? Where are you coming from mentally, physically, health-wise, financially? Because that
mm,
changes everything. So I think even though I haven't had something horrendous happen to me in a business wise, I've had the ups and downs. I've learned from my own experiences, and I use everything that I teach for myself. And that has been the most incredibly grounding, humbling experience ever, because I literally have got myself out of places using my own tools.
yeah, I love that. I love that. So what I'm hearing is that that grounding element of it, being able to trust your gut still through that whole process is a major key for you that's helped you through those ups and downs, in particular something that even as recently within 3 months ago as well.
Definitely, and giving yourself the time. That's the other thing.
Mm.
I was a person that believed, when I lived in London, I'm sure you'll understand this, is, well, you get on the tube, you know, in the morning, and you can have a meeting every hour. Like, you are full on meeting every hour. You don't get home till 10 o'clock, and you do it again and again and again. That was my 20s. Actually, when I came to LA, I recognized, because of driving and the traffic, you actually couldn't even physically do that. It was like a meeting in the morning, meeting at lunch, meeting in the evening. But now I'm even less than that. I am, when do I want to work? How do I want to work that? So the quality over quantity, that's life changing.
Yeah, I love that. What's the whole that whole idea of the quality over quantity, being able to have more of a designed life as opposed to the business running you? There's a lot of talk around that and has been for years. What's something that you had to fundamentally shift in the way that you did things to be able to start building that in your business and in your life?
Well, it's actually a phrase that I would use. I would always say, so my daughter and I also have a production company, Mother Daughter Entertainment. She's the CEO of that. And I was running that initially before she took over. And I'd be like, okay, great. What time should we start today? Should we start? Let's start. And Isabella would say to me, Mummy, you know, we're never actually starting, because it's just continuous. We're always doing it. So a mental shift of thinking there's an end of the start list, that was where I thought, oh, good, when I get through the list, then I've done it. Actually, it's not that. And that's a philosophy I also, when I did my TED talk, I recognized about life. The start, well, the end is death. So it's like, okay, actually, let's not just start, because my end is going to be when I die. And we never know when that is anyway. So it's about the journey of it. So it's a shift in understanding. Every day is just part of that journey. Whatever you're doing, be in the moment, be present, understand that this is the journey, this is the work, this is the life, and everything you're doing is just one little step closer to what you might want to be getting towards. But even then, when you're there, you'll want to go to the next thing anyway. I use the Academy Award as an example. I was like, well, when I win that Academy Award, then I'll have made it as a TV, film director. And my friend won it, and I was like, okay, now what does she do tomorrow? Oh, exactly the same. She's getting back on that wheel again, because just because you've won that doesn't mean you're not going to suddenly now die. We don't all explode and that's the end. She now has to do it again. And that was a recognizing moment. For anything I do, just enjoy the moment, because that is all we have.
I love that. I love that. It's something that I have to remind myself of, and obviously when I'm coaching clients as well, that we put something, whatever that is, as the pinnacle of success. But as soon as we achieve it, there's a hollowness that comes from that. Because as you said, Academy Award seems like pinnacle, but what happens tomorrow? It's like, okay, well, what's next? What do I do now? And I
Another
love
one?
that. Yeah, and maybe that's a great goal to have, or you realize, okay, that wasn't the actual, it didn't give me the fulfillment of what I thought it would do. And then what's that journey, which I think is really, really important of what you said, that journey that you're on, realizing that you're just always learning. So absolutely love that. That's phenomenal. If you're looking over the next 2, 3, 5 years of your business, what are your goals? What are you wanting to achieve?
Well, again, I think what's interesting about it is that I've got ideas and concepts, but it's amazing when something can come in and totally blow that up. And that is what happened 3 months ago. I really felt I was on this trajectory that I knew, and it was focused and I was clear with it. Then this situation happened where I have never felt grief like it. I've never felt grief in this way, and my life had to stop, and therefore there was something that forced me to stop for a moment and recognize priorities, what was important. And so I often kind of resembles the life of a butterfly. You've got your egg, your caterpillar stage, you're getting fat, you're losing your skin. You then go to your chrysalis. Sometimes a tachinid fly can attack the chrysalis and it doesn't even come out as a butterfly. So all that work goes to waste. Then you can come out as a butterfly, but they still cling on to the chrysalis. And sometimes they're ready to go straight away and fly. And sometimes they're not quite, this whole process I look at as where I'm at now, actually. And I think if we look at life in cycles, which is great why you said 2 to 5 years, but the cycle I thought I was having, I thought I was coming out of that chrysalis, ready to do my next cycle. And the tachinid fly got me. And I'm like, okay, I need to reground myself again. But again, what that's done is I've looked at it in a way of this is that time for me to stop for a second, reassess. Where do I want to end up? What am I looking at? What is the world doing right now? Because that affects everything that we're all about. How do I want to show up in the world right now? So I have ideas, and I create something called the pyramid of purpose. This is something I work on all the time, and that can give me my ideas and goals, but I also feel it's okay to stop for a bit, reassess totally, and look at that, because I actually do have the life that I want. I'm very fortunate. I have my health. I have my daughter around me, financially secure. I have clients. I have the next TV and film project. So just for a moment to stop and recognize that. And I mentioned I saw one of my films last night screening, and it's an amazing moment to stop and go, you achieved that, you did that. So I think right now that the stage I'm at is just reassessing and looking and checking I'm on the right trajectory and coming from which foundation, and am I coming from my truth? I don't mean to
Mm.
sound too woo woo, but I feel like those moments are important. And when they happen, to recognize them.
Yeah, I love it. There is a lot of truth in what you've just said, and I think for people that can hear what you're saying, it's going to be really powerful and just help them with where they are right now in their life and business, which is absolutely phenomenal. Well, Elizabeth, for people that are looking to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
So my website, elizabethblakethomas.com, and you can find my TED Talks on there, and you can find my email contact form, or I'm on at Elizabeth_B_T on social media, and my LinkedIn, Elizabeth Blake Thomas. And I love connecting. I love supporting people. I love helping guide them, because I feel like we've all got the opportunity to come out as a butterfly. So, let me support people who want that.
Amazing, amazing. Love it. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure. And for a reminder for everyone listening, the show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everybody hates. To find out more, message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborne, and that will be in the show notes below.